Are children naturally sensitive to spirits, energy, and unseen realms? In Stranger Things, it's the kids who first notice the strange shifts, who hear what adults miss, and who see what others can't. But could this idea come from real-world experiences? Many believe children are closer to the veil between worlds, often reporting ghost sightings, imaginary friends, or sudden psychic bursts. In this Stranger Things-inspired episode, we'll use tarot to explore whether children truly have a deeper connection to the paranormal, and if so, why? Let's dive in and see what the cards reveal. Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time on my channel. We're going to hop right in to this Stranger Things episode 7, using the Oracle first, as it does not read my mind, and then we'll get more details from tarot. So question 1, what makes children more open to the unseen? What makes children more open to the unseen? Ooh, things want to slide today. Okay, so we have this gun for hire. I'm going to pull another card because that was definitely an unexpected one for this question. Actually, not really. If you look at the card itself, it seems to have bad connotation, and then we have Stepford wives. But I'm going to say what makes children more open to the unseen? They're chosen. They are chosen. Just like, let's say with this gun for hire, you're looking for somebody to do something bad, and you might interview a number of people to find out which ones are the best or which one is the best. Well, in this case, these children are just chosen. They're chosen for the job because they are not robotic. They are not stifled yet by all the societal things that we end up losing a lot of ourselves due to societal pressures and school and so many different things. And kids just are not robotic yet. They haven't hit that routine level of thinking or anything like that. Anything goes with children. So let's continue. For the love of money. Yeah, it's not about money or anything like that. These children are not trying to prove anything. They're not on YouTube or anywhere else trying to make money because they're capable of seeing things that most adults cannot. They're just children. Towering Inferno. I think for some children it can be a very scary experience because of the things that they are capable of seeing. Now You See Me, yep, because of what they're capable of seeing. Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, and Midnight Train to Georgia. So yeah, they are capable of seeing, hearing things that we can't, or a lot of adults can't. And to them, it can seem very, what we would think would be their imagination. Oh, they're just, imaginary friends and that kind of thing. But no, we might think it's absurd. We might encourage them. We may not. But children are authentic. They are seeing and hearing probably what we are all meant to see and hear. But because they're authentic and nothing gets in their way, they're able to do a lot of this seeing and hearing. And some of these kids, because it can be kind of frightening at times, some of them may like to get on the next train and not see it anymore, and not sure if they really have the option, if they can shut it off. I imagine it depends on what age they are. So let's see where this goes with tarot. So what makes children more open to the unseen? Well, they're chosen. Because they're not robotic, because they're, not into money and not dealing with society and pressures like adults are. All right. Queen of Dice or Queen of Swords. They're truthful. There's no, I'm going to say there's not really a dark side to children. Yes, of course, kids, when they hit a certain age, will start to lie, test that boundary. Most do. But in most cases, children are just so loving and so caring and truthful. Things come out. And I think paranormal things tend to, or past loved ones, that kind of thing, just tend to gravitate. Page of Swords or Page of Dice. Again, we go back to truth. Anything that a past loved one or a ghost, anything that appears to these children, they know that the message that they give is going to come out in a truthful manner from the mouths of these children. They're very special that way. Justice. Children believe more in justice than they do money. And that's important as well. The Emperor. The kids haven't learned yet with the Towering Inferno and something being that terrifying, or assuming that it, fire will burn you. They know this. And they may have heard somewhere that ghosts will hurt you. They haven't really gotten control of their beliefs yet, or themselves yet. They're children. So that is still within them, but it isn't. It's easier for the paranormal, those unseen things, to reach out to kids because they don't have that solid structure yet. The Moon. Now you see me. They don't always see things in total. Some of it is half light, some of it is shadow. They maybe don't totally understand what it is that they're seeing, but they are seeing. Two of Spokes or Two of Cups. What happens with this very much depends upon the relationship they have with whoever they're sharing with. So if you're a parent of a child who sees things or hears things and you just poo-poo them off, or tell them, that's not acceptable, go to bed, the situation with that child is going to be very uncertain. They're going to be shaky children. In other words, emotional and unsure about what they can share with you after a period of time. For children who are accepted for what they can see, the relationship between parent and child is usually really good. Okay, and then Midnight Train to Georgia with Three of Spokes or Three of Cups. I think this is just saying that the freedom that children have to express what they see, to experience what they see, needs to be celebrated. not ridiculed, but celebrated. This is very important for their growth and for learning that it's okay to be their authentic self. All right, so let us pick this up and move on to question 2. And if you're new to my channel, sorry for the slow pickup here. I do this all the time, but especially with these Stranger Things cards, because the deck is very thick. The cards are very thick. They don't shuffle well, so by doing it this way, I make sure that I have a little extra help making sure that we're not pulling all the same cards over and over again. And I do the same thing with the oracles, because if repeat cards show up, I know that it's not because I didn't mix the cards well enough. And since we shuffle short, for a short period of time each time, this is helpful. All right, so question 2. Question 2. Do children naturally connect to other realms or dimensions? Top Gun. I'm going to say yes, they do. And it is actually, they're very good at it. They're very good at it if they allow it to happen. I think that's and also I think it takes a little bit of training. Which spirit guides can help them with that. Pushing 10. For some, it could also be a stretch. There's going to be some children who are just absolutely natural at it, really good at it, and there's going to be others that struggle a bit and maybe don't continue at all. Bicentennial Man. I think this is just saying that children have a tendency to be able to connect up to any being, any realm, any dimension. They don't have preconceived notions about what's good and what isn't. In other words, there's no prejudice, there's nothing like that. So if the dimension that they go into is filled with robots, cool. Okay, Spirit in the Sky. Yeah, I think this is just saying they do get assistance from spirit guides, their spirit team. We all have one of those, and children are oftentimes more in tune with their spirit team. They just kind of know that there's somebody standing by helping. Bird Box. Public Enemy. Wizard of Oz. As before, some children prefer not to do this. If they see something, they'll close their eyes because they don't want to see it anymore. It is far too scary for them. Some children just aren't made out for it. Others absolutely love the adventure of it with the Wizard of Oz. They love the adventure. That's the kind of adventure they would love to go on. So for some kids, it is a natural connection. For most kids, I think it would be, but there are some who will refuse it, and there are some who are totally natural at it, and others who have to kind of work at it. So let's see what tarot adds. The Hierophant. Yeah, I think there's some training here from a teacher from beyond the veil, their spirit team. Four of Pentacles. Some of the kids will hang on to just life as normal. They don't want anything except for a normal life. They holding on to that tightly. Others, they're okay with where this goes, where the new adventure leads them. The Sun. Kids see things with such amazing clarity. And like I said, if they would happen to go to a realm or a dimension that had nothing but AI or robotic, they would be okay with that. There would be no judgment or anything like that. They see so much clearer than we do. Two of Spokes or Two of Cups. Yes, there is help beyond the veil for these kids, people, their spirit team. Their spirit team loves them and will help them through. It's never just the child doing it alone. Queen of Spokes or Queen of Cups. Some children are just gentle, loving, nurturing, caring kind of people, but and that's probably anything that's out of the norm just doesn't fit for them. It doesn't feel right. It feels probably harsh in a way. Makes them think of things that they'd prefer not to think of. So for those kids, it's okay for them to close their eyes and not want to see anymore. The Hermit with Public Enemy. Sometimes it's how these beings or realms are presented to them that makes them too scary to handle. If you were to see a girl floating in water with all her clothes on, seeming to be like not alive, that would be terrifying for many kids. It's how it comes across. And the Three of Swords. Yeah, for some kids, it's a growth of the mind. It stimulates their mind and they love it, like in The Wizard of Oz. It stimulates life. It makes life exciting. So yes, they can naturally connect, should they choose, some more naturally than others. Some prefer just to live life on Earth the way it's meant to be, lived without any kind of unusual happenings. They want life just to be as is. Mom, dad, siblings, things like that. They don't want anything interfering with that specific way of living. And yes, connecting to other dimensions and things like that would definitely change that, wouldn't it? All right, so question 3. How does society suppress or explain away children's abilities? Seems like a few of these things were touched on in question 1, but we let the cards speak. They always have more to share. Jurassic Park. How does society suppress or explain away children's abilities? I'm going to grab another card here for this. Although It just came to mind, but we'll see. There it is again, Top Gun. Okay, so with Jurassic Park, I think it starts with children seeing monsters under the bed or in the closet, that kind of thing. And that's been going on pretty much with every child forever and ever and ever. Whether or not, depending on how it is taken, is going to depend upon the skill of the child once, and the willingness of the child once they are able to more understand what is happening, and once their spirit team does their mentoring, their guiding, their teaching to show the child how to deal with the things they're seeing or the places they're going. So it really is, a lot about how parents react to the start of monsters under the bed. We have signs. So when we were talking about monsters under the bed, it says, go look, go look, go look. So one of the things is to make sure that your child understands that it's okay to come to you with monsters under the bed. Take the time to go look. Assure the child. I mean, obviously you're not going to see what they do, but it's worth letting them know you're there should they need you. Release. Okay. One of I think it was a movie called I Dreamed of Africa. And the boy in the movie was having a nightmare. And the gentleman that was visiting his mom came in and had the boy draw out the nightmare, draw out what he saw in his nightmare. So he did. And then the guy took it, crumpled it up, threw it in the garbage can, and set it on fire. Now, that might seem a little extreme. For safety purposes, tearing it up and taking it out into the garbage might be the smarter way to go. But again, this is how children learn to accept what is happening to them without fear. So it's been going on for a long, long time, and started out, like I said, I believe, where it's monsters under the bed or shadows on the wall. Just like oftentimes in Jurassic Park, we'll see the shadow of the dinosaur. It could be shadows that they're seeing. And they're being brought forth because, as children, they're in training. Always in training as to where, or I should say, as to what experiences they're meant to have. And as children, they're meant to have experiences like this because they have the open mind that they don't judge. So they have the open mind, but sometimes they do need some explanation, which they're going to come to you for. And there's going to be times that you need to take the time to go look under the bed or in the closet and reassure. And then perhaps for the really scary things, you can help them learn to release. And the release card here is what made me think of the crumple and into the garbage can, set it on fire kind of thing. And it's a release. So you are giving their heart a break, letting them know that you are there for them when they need you, instead of just saying, oh, go to bed. There's nothing under your bed. Then we have Bridge to Terabithia. remembering that children have active imaginations. Their minds can build an entire realm because their imaginations are brand new. There's nothing stopping what they can imagine, except for we have Jaws and we have Over the Top. And I'm going to say, except for parents who put pressure on them to not believe in the monsters under the bed, not to believe in monsters in the closet. That's hard on a child. Their imagination starts to shrink with every disbelief that comes their way. Some things that they come up with are pretty over the top, for sure. A little bit of guidance, as they would get from their spirit team, can also come from you. Some of the guidance. You could sit down and say, so you're telling me all this. What part of it is actually true and what part of it is your imagination kind of working overtime? Because some of it may be expanding on the story to make sure you're involved. So let's see what Tarot has to share. Queen of Dice or Queen of Swords. They're not lying to you when they say they're seeing shadows on the wall, monsters under the bed, monsters in the closet. They're not lying to you if they say that they've seen grandma whoever who you know has passed away. They're not lying to you. They're being shown because they are caring and loving little children. They're open. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, it's your reaction oftentimes that will decide what way these children go. They will not be trained by their spirit team if, in fact, they don't have support from home. Unless it is part of their life plan and this is the way it's supposed to be. If it's not part of their life plan, they may very well, the spirit team will guide them someplace else, some other direction, and will perhaps shield them from seeing past loved ones or monsters or things like that. King of Scoops or King of Pentacles. It is you that they look to, mom or dad or guardian. It is you they look to explain life to them and to believe the truth that they're telling. You need to be sure to be stable, supportive. You need to let them know that you're strong and you can handle whatever comes your way from them. The Moon. Yeah, I think I dreamed of Africa analogy here with the wadded up piece of paper in the garbage, or the safer version of tearing it up, throwing it away. That helps them release the scare, the fear. Helps them release because you're here, and whatever comes their way, they know that they can get a grip on it with you by their side. And eventually, if you think about it, if they continue to have nightmares of this kind, they can eventually draw the picture themselves, tear it up, throw it in the garbage can, take it into another room until morning where they can ask you to please burn it. And then Knight of Spokes or Knight of Cups. Their intuition and their imagination, everything is so strong in children. And They are active with it. It isn't just, oh, I'm going to pretend today. This is just a part of how they live. Six of dice or six of swords. Here there be monsters, it says. It's telling the parents, stop putting the pressure on the kids to not be afraid. Here there be monsters. They're real. These children are not lying to you. They're seeing what they're seeing. Five of dice. Sometimes their mind, because their imagination is so powerful, sometimes there is chaos in the mind, and you have to determine where they might be going over the top with what they're sharing. You might have to do that. But doing it helps them sort through what it is that they're going through and helps them get a grip on their fear if they are afraid. And their spirit team can definitely help them a lot easier that way. So how does society suppress or explain away children's abilities? They don't believe and they don't support. They forget that children have this kind of imagination. They forget that children see things in the dark that adults have learned a long time ago or think they've learned a long time ago that don't exist. But did they? We saw them too as children. We may not want to remember. We may not remember, but we saw them too. And now our children are going through the same thing. So telling them, being supportive is the biggest thing that you can possibly do for your child. Talking to them about it. Finding out exactly what happened. Okay, so we're picking up here and moving on shortly here to question 4. If you're enjoying my content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also to share if you know other people who would be interested in this content. And I'd love to have you comment. Commenting is the ultimate for me, simply because, especially if you're seeing other things in the cards, I always welcome other opinion as to what the cards may be sharing, because everybody's going to see something different in the cards. All right. So question 4. Are imaginary friends or visions more than they seem? So if your child has an imaginary friend, is it really just an imaginary friend? Or does it actually exist? I remember having an imaginary chimpanzee. Spirit in the sky. Most important thing here is your child believes. Like I said, I had an imaginary chimpanzee. I loved chimpanzees. Mine was a baby. Old enough to walk. I didn't have to carry it all the time, but it was old enough to walk, holding my hand. And I believed in it. I believed it was real. I never shared it with my parents. I shared it with friends at school, but never my parents, because my parents had never proven to be supportive of, as we've been talking about, supportive of the things that I could see. The chimp was not real. It really was imaginary. Okay, so with Spirit in the Sky, this is just saying it's not always exactly what it looks like. Desire. I really desired to have this chimp be real, but it wasn't. It was my personal belief that perhaps if I believed in it enough, I could be able to see it. That was my desire. It wasn't more than it was. It never got to be more than it was. Yes. So, again, with this explanation, are imaginary friends or visions more than they seem? Yes. Oftentimes they are, and the spirit team is well aware of that. Yeah, and again, with desire, it still comes down to what the child wishes to see. They may be ones to close their eyes if they're not okay with what they have, what they know is happening to them. If they don't want to see what's so real. Don't look back. I think there comes a time for children in their imagination that suddenly they are hit with an epiphany of, whoa, this isn't just a desire, this is real. If they're having a tea party and they have an imaginary friend sitting there and their parents are like, well, how's your imaginary friend? And that's when the child realizes that it's not imaginary. It's not just in my mind. There really is someone sitting there. I'm really seeing the things that I'm seeing, but my parents can't see. Taking care of business. Streetcar named Desire. Isn't that funny? Desire again. And Backdraft. As a parent, you can't just take care of business. In other words, it's everything's not black and white. Some things that you see in a crystal ball are going to be somewhat skewed, a little bit cloudy, sometimes clear. But you can't just turn your back on possible truth because it's coming from your child. You have to be able to work and play. So be a parent, but respect their imaginations. This is a desire that they would have. If, in fact, you are not doing that, if, in fact, you are one of those parents who's saying, you need to come back to reality here. There are no monsters. I'm not coming in here again, because their desire is not to have you just be taking care of parental business because you're too tired. It will backfire. It will backfire with the relationship you and your child have, because it's really important for you to believe what they're saying. They're not lying to you about what they're seeing. They may be confused about what they're seeing and will turn to you for some kind of an explanation, but they're not lying to you. Their desire is to have a good relationship with you and to have someone to confide in, I guess. So let's see what Tarot has to share. Six of Scoops, or Six of Pentacles. This is my peace of mind card. You can have peace of mind that your child is not crazy, that your child is actually seeing things or people from beyond the veil, and that they have a spirit team that is helping them along, but you have to be there too. Whoop. The Hanged Man. Yeah, sometimes it takes looking at things with a little bit different perspective for you. If you're thinking, oh, it's just an imaginary friend, it's just an imaginary friend. And trying to bring your child back to some kind of sense. Not the right way to go. Their imagination is important. Four of Spokes or Four of Cups. Sometimes if they're not believed, they're going to hold on and extrapolate much more than they would if you reacted differently. If you understand that their imaginary friends and the visions that they might be having, like grandma sitting on their bedside, that kind of thing, is real to them, and probably is very real, then they will fold you in to their intuitive life. They'll feel more stable and certain about the things that they're hearing, the things that they're seeing and experiencing. Ace of Dice, Ace of Swords. Yes, this is where they have the epiphany and realize that the things that are out there is limitless. Things that they could come across is limitless. And they're seeing the truth. They're seeing the truth of it with that epiphany, that they really are seeing things that other people maybe can't see. Three of Spokes or Three of Cups. Yes, this is something that needs to be done together. Celebrated together, not poo-pooed away. Queen of Scoops or Queen of Pentacles. Their biggest desire is to have their parents believe what they're saying, believe what they're seeing, believe what they're hearing. That is their biggest desire. They need a loving, caring, nurturing adult along with their spirit team. The adult is physical. They can get the hug from the adult and really feel it. You're there for support. Knight of Dice or Knight of Swords. Yes, it can backfire on you if you are not actively believing in your child. And I'm not saying you have to believe in the imaginary friend, or you don't even really have to believe if you don't want to. But the kids will know if you are faking it or not. They will. But if you can actively believe in the truth, or that your child is telling you the truth, it won't backfire on you. So let us move on to question 5. There are 6 questions in total in this episode, Stranger Things, number 7. Yeah, there's not a lot of, I don't remember myself seeing monsters under the bed or having nightmares or anything like that. I've never really been one to have nightmares. But I know I've had grandchildren who have had night terrors that go on for months and months and months. That is definitely something you can't ignore. It's just not even possible. Okay, so question 5. What can adults learn from childhood psychic perception? This could go a number of ways. What can adults learn from childhood psychic perception? Backdraft. Going to take another one for that. Lucky. Okay, so with backdraft, adults can feed the fire. And it is a lucky child who has an adult who understands that feeding the fire can be a good thing. But also a lucky child to have a parent who says, it isn't always a good idea to walk through the door or to open the door, because sometimes you don't know what's behind that door. Gilda. What's behind the door could be something wonderful that you've never ever experienced before or seen before. But it could also be something not great. A beautiful woman could be a really bad person. So you don't know what it is that you're coming up on behind that door. A parent who explains to a child that just because you see the monster under the bed doesn't mean you should crawl under there with it. Doesn't necessarily mean you should make sure you look for that monster. Because sometimes opening a door can do bad things to you. We've learned that ourselves from, just living. But what an adult learns from a child, or should learn from a child in their psychic perception, is that child that hangs on to, or that is able to see the things that they are able to see, to walk through the fire of the unknown, okay, is a very lucky individual. And they will grow up to be very, very unique people. They don't need doctors. No, they don't. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't need a doctor. They need support. Lessons. Jurassic Park. No feeling. These are lessons that adults need to learn, is that it's okay to have terrifying experiences in your dreams, in your bedroom as a child. It is okay. There is nothing wrong with the child. This is like the main thing. You need to know that there's nothing wrong with the child. Sometimes these are lessons that the child has to learn, that their spirit team is attempting to teach them with these shadows and these monsters. And sometimes it's good things that they're walking through, but they're very lucky children. And if dealt with well by the adults, these children won't end up non-feeling. They'll end up as very secure adults. So let's see what Tarot has to add. We have the Nine of Dice or Nine of Swords. Yes, walking through the fire of the unknown can cause a great deal of anxiety, a great deal of fear. But how you react as the adult, drawing on your own experiences, your own memory of children or of yourself as a child, doesn't have to be this terrifying. That energy can be changed. And for the parent that does that, that's one lucky child. The Emperor, because that child is going to be supported by the person or persons in their life that they look up to the most. With the Emperor, that person is their tree, which would be you as the parent. That person is their tree. And if they have to walk through the fire of the unknown, they're lucky to know that there you are. Three of Dice or Three of Swords. These children are not going to grow up horrible people. Unless, of course, I mean, they could if what their experiences do to your relationship, depending on how you react, okay? But the Three of Swords isn't just a card of betrayal and deceit. It is also a growth of the mind. These are unique children. Their minds are expanding with every flame that comes forth from walking through the fire of the unknown. Their minds are growing. Five of Dice. Yeah, you might be thinking that they're crazy and they need to go to a doctor because they keep coming forth with more and more things that nothing could be less true. They are not crazy. They do not need a doctor. They need you and your belief. This is what adults can learn from childhood psychic perception. You need to believe in your child and you need to be their tree, their solid support system. Knight of Dice or Knight of Swords. You need to be, as they're going through their lessons, that whatever this is, that their guides are taking them through or that they've chosen before birth to have happen to them, you need to be their knight in shining armor. Their knight in shining armor, right there with sword in hand, to be their tree, to help them through it. You need to be active in this as they go through their lessons. Judgment. No judgment about what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're experiencing. No judgment. Oop. Two of Scoops or Two of Pentacles. This is going to be what decides the emotional maturity of your child. If there is no support system, they're going to grow up knowing that they cannot emote and be believed. If there is this support system, they're going to grow up emotionally happy, emotionally confident. Their decisions will be made intuitively. Many of their decisions will be made intuitively because you've helped them understand that their intuition, their imagination, their higher selves are powerful and good things to have. All right, so let's get this picked up and move on with the last question. And this definitely, I didn't expect it to go this way. In other words, I didn't realize it was going to be kind of a parental guidebook. But it seems, I mean, the cards share what they need to share. So we'll take it. Okay, almost there. Okay. Is there a deeper purpose behind children being more receptive? Is there? Now remember, we saw in question 1 that they're chosen. So is there a deeper purpose behind children being more receptive? Die Hard. Bridge to Terabithia. I think this has a lot to do with how terrifying the world can actually be. And to help them understand, help the children understand that they are able to imagine and manifest something better. If you're going to teach a child something, doing it early on seems to make a big difference. So if you are going to teach a child a foreign language or sign language or something like that, the time to do it is when they're young. Teach them art, teach them gymnastics, when they're really young. Because that is when the mind is open, the body is open. They are capable of absorbing a great deal in a short period of time, and it gets carried with them all the way through adulthood. Jaws. So again, the world is, a horrifying place at times. There are definite dangers in the world. Things that, this card is about terrorists. We know that that's something that's going on in the world today. But children can use their imagination. They can build in their minds a different kind of world and manifest that. Manifest that world. So that they don't have to fear everything that perhaps we have feared. Or be afraid. Top Gun keeps popping up. Yeah, they can be the best that they can be at changing the world because they learned at a young age how to manifest what they want, what they need, what they don't want. Sixth Sense, Bird Box, Patch Adams. So with the Sixth Sense, those are, they can have help from beyond the veil. They will understand that they have a spirit team, that they have past loved ones who are helping them along. They can realize that they don't have to close their eyes and be afraid of anything. They have assistance. And sometimes The don't open your eyes isn't a scary situation. It is a time to meditate or get that imagination rolling. And if fear starts creeping in, laughter is what's going to get them rolling again. Not laughing at them, okay? Laughing with them, getting them to find the higher vibration, because the higher vibration they have, the easier it is to manifest, bring to them what they want. There is a deeper purpose why children are more receptive, because they have bigger and better imaginations. And what our parents didn't understand, for the most of us, we can for our children. We can help them create a better world than what we've lived in. Teach them how to manifest what they want, what they need. Laughter is a way to raise a frequency faster than any other way. So let's see what Tarot has to share. We have the Ten of Spokes, or the Ten of Cups. This is actually the card of intuition, powerful intuition over the bad things that happen in the world. Five of Cups. This is what keeps children from having an emotional breakdown over the horrible things that are happening in the world. If they know that they have control, that they can use their imaginations to build a different world, the fear, the chaotic emotions aren't important. They don't happen. Ten of Dice, Ten of Swords. Yeah, their minds are not full of fear. Instead, their minds are growing at a rate that we can't even keep up with. It's the 10 to the Ace, where everything is, 10 is complete. The fear is gone. It moves to the Ace of Swords, where the ideas and the communication and the thoughts are unlimited. And all manifestation begins with thought. Six of Strands, or Six of Wands. This is where they're recognizing how powerful they are, how powerful their minds are, their imagination is. Nine of Strands, or Nine of Wands. Rather than when they're feeling backed into a corner, or they're feeling exhausted from life's battles, okay? They know that they have a team that will support them, beyond the veil team that will support them. And they can open up their imaginations and light up their world. The exhaustion can just dissipate. They're not alone. Nine of Spokes, or Nine of Cups. It is the difference between being afraid to open your eyes to what's going on, or to sit down and meditate, close your eyes, see what you want. The Nine of Cups is wishing for something better. Putting your dynamic energy towards that, putting the intuition towards that, putting all the wishes and hopes towards that. In this creating a better world. And the Seven of Scoops, or Seven of Pentacles, yep, planting the seed. That's what it takes, planting the seed. and being patient as things change, as things grow. It'll start new growth of some sort with this imagination. So yes, children are here. There is a deeper purpose behind them being as receptive as they are. And it is to make the world a better place because they have more understanding of how to manifest what is truly important and how important love is. Okay, so that is it for this episode 7 of Stranger Things Inspired. I'm going to give you a teaser for episode 8. From psychic kids to the power of our feelings, could strong emotions actually open portals to other worlds? In episode 8, we'll explore how fear, grief, and rage might change our energetic reality in ways Stranger Things only begins to show. You won't want to miss this emotional journey into the unknown. And on the screen, you'll see that there is a show schedule showing the 3 shows that I do each week. If you're enjoying Stranger Things, you might also enjoy the other 2. Times are on there, so you know when you can find them. And with all that said, thank you so much for being here with me for this episode. And hopefully you've made it to the end. I hope to see you next week. And until then, have a great week. Take care.